Deep in the heart of the Pacific Northwest, a blanket of stars above, the moon a silent sentinel in the inky sky. This is where our story begins. Imagine the ancient trees, their branches reaching towards the heavens. A gentle breeze whispers through their leaves, secrets carried on the wind. The air is crisp and cool. The scent of pine needles hangs heavy. A group of campers huddled around a crackling fire, seeking warmth and companionship against the encroaching night. The firelight dances, casting flickering shadows, a symphony of orange and black against the backdrop of the woods. Stories begin to circulate, tales whispered from generation to generation, legends of a creature, a being of myth and mystery. Bigfoot, they call him, a giant, elusive figure said to roam these very woods. Each story adds a layer of intrigue, a touch of fear. One camper tries to reassure the others. There's nothing to be afraid of, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. A nervous laugh follows. The truth is, they all feel it. A primal unease settles over the group, a sense of being watched, observed by something hidden just beyond the reach of the firelight. The shadows seem to deepen. The rustling leaves take on a new meaning. The forest, once a place of peace, now feels alive. Charged with an unseen energy, every snap of a twig, every hoot of an owl amplifies the growing tension. Deeper into the night they venture, drawn in by the allure of the unknown. The stories fuel their curiosity, but also their apprehension. The fire crackles and pops, sending sparks into the night sky, mirroring the sparks of fear in their hearts. They huddle closer together, seeking comfort in numbers. Despite the growing unease, a strange sense of calm begins to settle. The forest, in its mysterious way, offers a peculiar embrace, a feeling of being part of something ancient and vast. The mysteries of the woods hold them captive. The campers, drawn together by the shared experience, continue to weave their tales, each story more fantastical than the last, embellished with details passed down through generations, whispers of enormous footprints, glimpses of a shadowy figure through the trees. One story spoke of a lone hiker, stumbling upon a clearing where strange symbols were carved into the bark of ancient trees. A sense of awe and dread washed over him. He knew he had trespassed on sacred ground. Another tale recounted the experience of a group of hunters, hearing a blood-curdling roar echoing through the mountains, a sound unlike anything they had ever heard before. They abandoned their hunt, fleeing in terror. As the stories continued, the atmosphere around the campfire shifted. The initial excitement and laughter gave way to a palpable sense of unease. The forest seemed to press in closer, listening intently to their every word. A sudden snap of a twig in the darkness startled the group. Every head turned towards the sound, their eyes scanning the shadows beyond the firelight. Nerves frayed, imaginations running wild. Then, a low growl echoed through the trees, deep and resonant. It sent shivers down their spines. The campers exchanged nervous glances, trying to rationalize the sound. Could it be a bear? A mountain lion? The growl came again, closer this time, followed by a series of heavy footsteps. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath them. Fear gripped the campers, their hearts pounding in their chests. "It's just the wind," one of them whispered, trying to convince himself as much as the others. But the wind didn't growl, and the wind didn't leave footprints the size of dinner plates. One by one, the campers began to succumb to exhaustion. their eyelids heavy, their minds weary from the night's tales. They curled up in their sleeping bags, seeking solace in the warmth and familiarity. The fire crackled softly, casting dancing shadows against the trees, the only source of light in the vast darkness of the forest. A lone sentinel against the unknown, the forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting, watching. The rustling leaves whispered secrets to the sleeping campers, tales of ancient mysteries and hidden creatures. The night grew deeper. The moon climbed higher in the sky, casting a pale, ethereal glow over the sleeping figures. They were vulnerable, unprotected, at the mercy of the forest and its inhabitants. A movement in the trees caught the flickering light of the fire. A shadow detached itself from the darkness, large and hulking, moving silently between the trees. It paused at the edge of the clearing, its silhouette barely visible against the backdrop of the forest. Observing the sleeping campers, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Was it a trick of the light? A figment of their overactive imaginations? Or was it something more? Something real? Something legendary? The figure took a step closer, then another. Its movement slow and deliberate, it seemed to glide across the forest floor as if it were a part of the very shadows themselves, the creature of their stories, the myth made flesh. Bigfoot. The creature moved with an unnatural grace, a silent predator in its own domain. Its massive form barely disturbed the undergrowth, a ghost in the moonlight. One camper stirred in his sleep. His eyes fluttered open. He saw it, the figure standing at the edge of the firelight, a dark silhouette against the flickering flames. His breath caught in his throat. A cold knot of fear tightened in his stomach. He wanted to scream, to warn the others. But he was paralyzed, frozen by the sheer terror of the sight before him. He blinked, trying to clear his vision, convincing himself it was just a dream, a nightmare brought on by the stories around the campfire. But the figure remained, solid and real. The creature took another step closer, its massive footfalls silent on the soft earth. It towered over the sleeping campers, a giant among men. The camper's heart pounded in his chest, a drumbeat against the silence of the night. He wanted to move, to run, to hide, but his limbs felt heavy, weighted down by an invisible force. He closed his eyes tightly, wishing it away, praying it was just a figment of his imagination. But he could still feel its presence, looming over him, a palpable weight in the air. He opened his eyes again, a sliver of light peeking through his lashes. The creature was still there, closer now, its face hidden in the shadows, but its eyes glowed with an eerie light. The creature's gaze seemed to penetrate the camper's very soul. He felt exposed, vulnerable, as if all his secrets were laid bare before this silent giant. He tried to focus on the fire, on the familiar crackle of the flames, on the warmth against his skin. But the creature's presence was overwhelming. It filled the clearing. It filled his mind. He wondered if the others could feel it too. This oppressive weight, this sense of being observed. He wanted to wake them, to share the burden of this terrifying encounter. But he couldn't bring himself to break the silence. He was afraid of what the creature might do, afraid of what he might see if it fully emerged from the shadows. The creature stood motionless for a moment longer, its gaze fixed on the sleeping campers. Then, with a slow, deliberate turn, it began to retreat, back into the darkness. The camper watched as it melted back into the trees, its massive form disappearing into the shadows, as if it were a phantom, a figment of the night. He let out a shaky breath, the tension slowly draining from his body. He was still afraid, but the immediate threat seemed to have passed. He lay there, staring up at the stars, his mind racing, trying to make sense of what he had just witnessed. Was it real, or was it just a dream? As the first rays of dawn crept through the trees, the campers began to stir, yawning and stretching. The camper who had seen the creature sat up, scanning the clearing, looking for any sign of the giant. But there was nothing, just the silent trees. He hesitated, unsure of whether to tell the others. Would they believe him or think he was crazy? He decided to keep silent for now. Perhaps it was just a dream, a trick of the light, but deep down he knew. The night he saw Bigfoot. Our story shifts now, from the huddled group around the flickering fire to a lone figure venturing deep into the heart of the wilderness. A seasoned hiker, a man comfortable in the solitude of the ancient forest. He seeks not the company of others, but the quiet communion with nature, the solace found only in the embrace of the wild. He walks with a steady pace, his boots crunching on the fallen leaves. He carries with him only the essentials, a sturdy backpack, a warm sleeping bag, and a quiet respect for the land he traverses. He is a guest in this realm, and he knows it. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The air grows cool, the shadows lengthen, the forest transforms, becoming a place of mystery and enchantment. He finds a spot by a clear, flowing stream. The gentle murmur of the water is a soothing melody in the gathering darkness. He sets up camp with practiced ease, a small fire to ward off the chill. He's heard the stories, of course, the whispers of Bigfoot, the tales of strange encounters in these very woods. But he's never given them much credence. He prefers to rely on his own experience, his own senses. As darkness descends, the forest comes alive with a symphony of sounds. The rustling of leaves, the hooting of owls, the chirping of crickets, a chorus of the wild. He sits by the fire, lost in thought. The flames dance before him, casting flickering shadows against the trees. He feels a sense of peace, a connection to something larger than himself. A presence. He feels it. A subtle shift in the air, a prickling sensation on the back of his neck. He knows he's not alone. Something is watching him. He slowly turns his head, scanning the shadows beyond the firelight, his eyes searching for the source of the unseen gaze. But he sees nothing, just the dark, impenetrable forest. He's not afraid, not exactly. He's more curious than anything. He's spent enough time in the wilderness to know that there are things out there, things beyond our understanding. He feels a strange sense of calm, an acceptance of the unknown. He's a part of this ecosystem, just another creature in the vast web of life. And whatever is watching him is a part of it too. He settles into his sleeping bag, the warmth a welcome comfort against the cool night air. He closes his eyes, listening to the sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the distant hoot of an owl. He doesn't try to fight the feeling of being watched. He embraces it. He accepts it as a part of the wilderness experience, a reminder that he's not in control, that there are forces at play beyond his comprehension. He thinks of the campers huddled around their fire, telling stories of Bigfoot, their fear fueled by the unknown. He understands their fear, but he doesn't share it. He feels a sense of kinship with the creature, a shared connection to the wild. He's not afraid of the mysteries of the forest. He's drawn to them. He knows that the true magic of the wilderness lies in the things we don't understand, in the shadows and the whispers, in the embrace of the unknown. The hiker lay nestled in his sleeping bag, the soft earth beneath him a comforting presence. The sounds of the forest enveloped him, a symphony of the night. The rustling of leaves like whispers in the wind, the gentle gurgling of the nearby stream. He listened intently, attuned to the rhythm of the wild. The distant hoot of an owl punctuated the stillness. The stars twinkled above, a million diamonds scattered across the velvet canvas of the night. He gazed up at them, lost in their infinite expanse. The forest pulsed with a life of its own, a subtle energy that vibrated through the trees, the earth, the very air he breathed. He felt it in his bones, a primal connection to the wild. He thought of the campers, their fear a stark contrast to his own sense of peace. They sought to conquer the wilderness, to tame its wild spirit. He sought only to understand it, to become a part of its rhythm. He realized that fear was a barrier, a wall that separated us from the true beauty and wonder of the natural world. He had learned to let go of his fear, to embrace the unknown. He closed his eyes, surrendering to the rhythm of the forest. The steady beat of his heart synchronized with the pulse of the wild. He was home. He drifted in and out of sleep, his dreams intertwined with the sounds of the forest. The rustling leaves became whispers of ancient spirits, the hooting owl a guardian watching over him. He felt a deep sense of communion with nature, a connection that transcended words, a feeling of being held, protected by the ancient forest. He was not an intruder here, he was a welcome guest. He understood now why the ancient peoples revered the forest, why they saw it as a sacred place. It was a source of life, of wisdom, of mystery. It was a place where the veil between worlds thinned, a place where the spirit could soar. He felt a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunity to experience this connection, to be a part of something so much larger than himself. He knew he would carry this feeling with him long after he left the forest. The night deepened, the forest settling into a peaceful slumber. The hiker slept soundly, his dreams filled with images of towering trees and whispering streams. He dreamed of walking through sun-dappled glades, the air alive with the songs of birds. He awoke with the first light of dawn, feeling refreshed and renewed. He knew he would return. The first rays of dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. The forest slowly awakened, shaking off the shadows of the night. The remnants of their fear faded with the darkness, replaced by a sense of wonder. The trees seemed taller, their branches reaching towards the heavens like ancient arms. The stream sparkled in the sunlight, its gentle murmur a soothing melody. The whispers of the night remained, woven into their memories. Tales of a creature, large and elusive, watching from the shadows. They packed up their camp, their movements quiet and respectful. As they walked back towards civilization, they couldn't help but look back at the forest. The whispers of the night faded into the sounds of the day, but the memory lingered. Now, as you listen to this tale, nestled in the comfort of your own bed, let the mysteries of the forest lull you into a peaceful sleep. Imagine the soft rustling of leaves, the gentle hoot of an owl, the crackling of a distant campfire. Let go of your worries, your fears, your anxieties. Allow yourself to be enveloped by the stillness of the night. The world outside fades away, replaced by the comforting embrace of darkness. The mysteries of the forest are not meant to be feared, but to be embraced. They are a reminder of the vastness of the unknown, the infinite possibilities that lie beyond our comprehension. Allow your mind to wander, to explore the hidden corners of your imagination. Let the stories of the night carry you away to a place where dreams and reality intertwine. Embrace the stillness, the quiet solitude of the night. This is a time for reflection, for introspection, for connecting with the deeper parts of yourself. The world outside is a whirlwind of activity, a constant barrage of noise and information. But here, in the stillness of the night, you can find peace. You can find solace. You can find yourself. Let the sounds of the night wash over you, cleansing your mind, soothing your soul. The gentle rhythm of your breath becomes a lullaby, guiding you towards the realm of dreams. Sleep now, dear listener, and let the mysteries of the night guard you as you journey into the world of slumber. The forest watches over you, cradling you in its ancient embrace. May your dreams be filled with the magic of the wild, the wonder of the unknown, and may you awaken refreshed, renewed, and connected to the deep, abiding peace of the forest.